Hello and welcome to another one of our Saturday Spotlight interviews. My name is Anna Amelia from North East Animal Rights, and we're absolutely delighted to have Jill Robinson along, who is the founder and CEO of Animals Asia. So welcome, Jill, and thank you very much for agreeing to do this for us.
Thank you, Anna. Lovely to be here.
And some of you will know that we've had Jill on our interviews before, and we just thought it would be a really good time to have a catch up because we know there's been so much happening in the meantime. So first of all, I know this is a bit of quite an emotional subject for you, and quite rightly, it's a bit of a hard one, but could you tell those of us who don't know how you first got involved with bears and the bear bile farming industry, please?
Yeah, sure, Anna. It was a really long time ago. Gosh, I was still working with the International Fund for Animal Welfare in the 1980s. But I got a call from a friend of mine. I was doing a lot of undercover investigations, and I got a call from a journalist who just said he'd come back from one of these notorious bear bar farms, and I just thought, gosh, my interest was piqued, and I thought I should go along and have a look. So I joined a group of tourists. I went over to mainland China, and we got on the bus. We went to the farm, and it just all happened so quickly that we were walking around the farm. But you're not allowed to see the bears being extracted of their bile. But because my friend had already been there, he told me where the basement and the cages were being housed. And so I went down the steps into this basement, and I came across 32 moon bears, all trapped in tiny wire cages. And it was just the most awful thing I think I'd ever seen. I mean, their bodies had a litany of injuries and pathology. And I just walked around that room in shock until I think, backed into a cage too closely. And I felt something touch my shoulder and turned around, and a bear was reaching out her paw through the bars of the cage. And the message that she sent was just really clear. Obviously, it was help me. And I did a really stupid thing. I took her paw, and I would never do that today. We rescued, 671 bears, and you just don't do that sort of thing, even with the friendliest bears. But she didn't hurt me. She just squeezed my fingers, and that message was very, very clear. And I made her a promise that if I couldn't rescue her, we would certainly do everything, in our power to end bear bar farming. And we've kept that promise to this day.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you telling us that story, the factual story, a couple of years ago, and being quite shocked at how sort of how awful, how very, very sad. I think it's a sadness more than anything, and the scale of it, which is going on. So could you tell us about the progress you've made since we last spoke, I suppose, more than anything, and how many bears you've actually rescued, and your Bear Left Behind campaign, which I think is absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, Anna. Oh, delighted to, because it's light years away. It's so today we've actually achieved one of our founding goals, and that's to end bear bar farming in Vietnam, which is an enormous relief and an enormous challenge all rolled into one. And we can't wait for the next few years, because we are going to see that promise through. The Vietnam government joined us in a press conference in 2017, where they promised to collaborate with Animals Asia to end bear farming. And then in July of this year, we had another press conference with them, actually in Bach Ma National Park, where the government obviously have kept their word, and they stood up in front of the world's media and said they would end bear farming by the end of 2026. And really our role was to build that second sanctuary to help free another 320 bears from all the remaining bear bar farms in the country. So it's a huge challenge. I mean, we are crazy busy, we are crazy nervous, we're crazy excited, but we're going to do this. We can see the end of this industry once and for all.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I mean, it is a massive, massive achievement, I mean, it's just kind of, I can't comprehend the scale of it, because I mean, rescuing one bear alone is a massive, massive feat. But all the in changing the sort of like the mindset of those who are making money from this awful industry, and keeping them on board as well, and kind of like bring them along for the journey.
Right. You're so right, because when you say rescuing one bear is a challenge, and it absolutely is. Every bear like us is an individual. So when you've rescued one bear, It's not just a case of popping them in an enclosure and letting them get on with their life. Every bear has different injuries, different psychological problems, different pathology. I mean, everything is different, everything. And you have to, look at each bear as really is saying, what can I do for you and only you? And that will bring us on to, as I said, hundreds more bears that we've got to look at each one exactly in that vein to give them the appropriate welfare and attention that they need.
Yeah, I know from obviously from following you that one of the first things you do is you have the base sedated and have them taken to the vets, give them a good check over, and also checking the liver functions and everything inside. So that must be a very, very traumatic experience, I suppose, for the humans sort of around them, to see the level of damage these beautiful animals have.
Yeah, really good point, Anna. We call them our Kinder Surprise bears because
Yeah,
there's little chocolate eggs that you get a toy inside that you don't know what you're going to get.
yeah,
Again, just literally a few weeks ago, one of the newest rescued bears went under a health check, and Rachel, as she was doing the ultrasound, her eyebrows knitted, her face dropped, and she found something remarkable on the liver, and it turned out to be a 1.3 kilogram tumor that she had to then go in and remove. And operating on the liver is the most difficult thing in the world. It bleeds so much, but we had no choice. It was, there's no going back, and it's almost like you have to try and do it, and you have nothing to lose if you fail, because that tumor is ultimately going to take over that liver. So she went in, and of course it did bleed, and Rachel's respiratory rate went up and her heart rate went up, and I was just watching the whole thing in absolute awe when she finally sutured the wound, and Lavender ultimately now is out on grass in an enclosure. It's just incredible to watch our vet team at work. They are amazing, all of them.
yeah. I mean, I'm just sitting here sort of like absolutely in awe. I mean, of all of your team. I mean, they all do absolutely amazing jobs. But I suppose the vets are the first port of call, aren't they, for when the bears come out? If they kind of go straight to them for the health checks. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, and this is what I give huge credit, not just to our vets on site, but to our junior vets on site now, because they're all Vietnamese. They began as interns, so they're young, interns. And as you say, what does this do to their mind? But oh my gosh, are they so excited and proud now, because they have gone through all the ranks of the training. They're now junior vets, and they will be taking over our next sanctuary in Bach Ma, and it will be completely run by our Vietnamese colleagues by the next 5 years. So it's just a real training, capacity building, celebration of living and working in Vietnam.
Yeah, it's a massive. Obviously it's a massive team effort. But I think having locals on board is absolutely critical for your success, really, rather than sort of seen as the British organisation coming in. It's so, if you're having all Vietnamese staff in this in the sanctuary, in the new sanctuary, it must make a huge difference to how it's perceived in the area as well.
Absolutely, and of course with the government as well, not just the community, but everybody involved. So it's a celebration, of, as I said, living in Vietnam, and even down to the farmers. People might be surprised that we don't ridicule or embarrass or criticize the farmers, because actually if they've given up their bears, then we should celebrate that. So this is all without losing face, and hopefully this will be a big ripple effect to getting those bears faster, but also showing other countries that still farm bears that we can do this elegantly and kindly, with no criticism from the international community.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of leads me on to the next question, was about, obviously running through the core of your message is kindness. I'm just looking at my t-shirt there. I've got the Animals Asia one, and in the bottom it's got kindness in action.
Yeah.
And the only cure is kindness. I know that they're hashtags which you use as well. So can you tell me about why kindness, like a general kindness message is at the core of your organization, and how it appears in your work?
Yeah, it was kind of a eureka moment a few years ago that, our previous tagline was "Until the cruelty ends."
Yeah.
And we felt that was kind of that, maybe in the end it was a great tagline while it lasted, but we felt it might have negative connotations. So we went to kindness is the only cure, or kindness in action as well. And that just to be far more complementary, if you like, to the countries in which we were working. And, you know, honestly, we use the word kindness because, frankly, our unkindness towards animals has got us into so much trouble as a species. You know, we're looking obviously at COVID at the moment, we're looking at bird flu, we're looking at Ebola, we're looking at virtually every single disease that has transmitted over to people is a result of our unkindness towards animals. So it makes perfect sense that we need to look at the way that we're living our lives a lot differently today to avoid the next pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think people understand how closely linked they are. I mean, we thought we'd have a massive opportunity during the pandemic to, you know, to turn people vegan, to make people make the connection, but sadly it's still not the case, because people, you know, there's a lot of people who don't want to make the individual change. But thankfully there's still there's organizations like yourself, who are still kind of like pushing the kindness message and trying to make the links. I know Viva does that as well. Julie Galatly and Viva do that, and they talk about the links to the animal you know, the animal farming industries and how we treat them, and the links to pandemics.
Well, I think Julie's obviously the same as me. I'm a vegan as well, but it's not a case of really pushing veganism, even though I believe fervently that that is the answer. But it's certainly, you know, towards reducing as much as we can. And if more and more people reduce the amount of, you know, meat and dairy products and eggs, etc., that is eaten across this world, the whole planet would be in a much better position, you know, than we otherwise were. It's better to try and convince people to eat less and less as much as we can, rather than maybe trying and failing to convince people to go vegan. So, and I think ultimately, when people do start eating less meat and adopting more of a plant-based diet, they really do start feeling better, you know, and we know that you can mitigate disease. You know, it's just something that I think people get that light bulb moment and go, oh my gosh, I really am feeling healthier. I really am losing weight. You know, and it's just something I think that people then adopt more into their lifestyle.
Yeah. So do you think that now, I mean, obviously this is coming to an end in Vietnam. So do you think generally you're seeing an end to the bile farming industry?
Um, yes, I think we are. I absolutely do. So what I can tell you, in China, there's a big pharmaceutical company that used to buy half of the country's bear bile,
Yeah.
and they're buying much less today because they are now plunging their millions of dollars, together with millions of dollars from the government, into what they're calling biotransformed bile, which is not obviously involving bears. And it's just so exciting now to see more of this, you know, more mention of this biotransformed bile. You're getting hospitals that are coming out saying that they're using it to good effect. You're getting conferences, as happened last week in the US in San Francisco, on animals in traditional medicine and helping animals in the wild. And two of those panels were involving bears. And one of the panels was involving, you know, was discussing the biotransformed bile. So it's something that I think is now rapidly moving forward, where people are looking at how we treat, you know, and adopt a principle that doesn't harm our wildlife.
Yeah, yeah. So I know you're very excited about Bach Ma. So could you tell us about what's happening with Bach Ma and how we can help?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you so much, Anna. We have broken ground. Ground is
Hey.
broken. Construction has now started as well. So
Brilliant.
it's full steam ahead now in
Yeah.
Bach Ma. And, you know, we're starting on the first phase of building a double bear house, a quarantine area, a hospital, some offices, and the utilities like, you know, power supply and oh gosh, water, roads, etc., etc. So that should be finished probably in January of 2023. But we can immediately start rescuing bears because we'll have the quarantine finished by then. And we figure that bears are much better with us in recovery cages than they are in cages on farms. So, you know, obviously the pandemic has hit us hard. The economy has hit us hard. So we've had, you know, a pretty a year of struggle, I would say, you know, difficult year. And so we do need as much help, please, as anyone can give us, because we've got to go full steam ahead on getting that sanctuary built so that we can rescue all those bears by 2026.
So what's the capacity for Bach Ma then?
It's going to be 300 bears, which
300
is
to the 300 bears, yeah.
what is left in the country now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the, the challenge is on, and this is our duty of care, if you like, for those last 300 bears to
So
get
this is
them
like the
out.
fact that, yeah, that's the big push to get all of those bears to sanctuary now. Yeah.
It is, and then it's done. It's done, Anna. We finally
Yeah.
completed. And that's, I think, the biggest celebration of talk, because everyone is contributing to this. It's not just the government in Vietnam, but it's the traditional medicine community that have promised that they're not selling or prescribing bear bile. They're having clinics every month to show the local community how easy it is to move over to the herbal alternatives. I mean, the whole country seems to be as one in joining this, this celebration of keeping bears where they belong in the wild.
Yeah, you're an absolute tour de force to get a whole country behind you like that. It's just absolutely amazing. I mean, I know you have a huge team, but obviously you're the figurehead and you're the one who's sort of seen pushing this. Um, Now I know that obviously you have lots of groups around the world doing different things, and we are very close to VJ, VJ who works with the Northeast Support Group, and she's just absolutely inspiring. I mean, she's got so much energy. She was at the festival yesterday, and she asked me to pass on her best wishes to you. So how important are people like VJ and and the local help that that they can give you, when you're over in Hong Kong at the moment?
Oh gosh, Anna, move over, because I am VJ's biggest fan. I am really. She is just incredible and always has been from the second I met her. She just not doesn't only help the bears, of course she helps other wildlife groups, and then she gets out there over the weekends, every weekend I think, and gets down and dirty on beach cleans.
Yeah.
She is a phenomenal powerhouse for the environment. There is no other, detail for it. She's just wonderful, and I love her to pieces. And the stalls that she has, you've just never seen anyone as passionate. She's just dynamite in raising the funds that we need, and genuinely believing in that and the environment as well. So and of course she's a vegan too, and
Yeah.
and she's got this amazing recipe book that she brought
Yeah.
out as well, that has you
I've got
so
one. Yeah, I've got it.
right every page. I mean, honestly,
Yes.
I don't know how she fits in her day job, but she does.
I'm just looking. Oh, sorry. I was just looking there. If I had it at hand, I was just going to show it, but I can't find
Oh,
it. It's actually in my wrestling book pile there. But yeah, she's absolutely brilliant. I mean, she's gone from the festival yesterday to literally this morning, some events popping up for beach cleans. And so we're going to give her a hand with a couple, because she's got them literally all the way through the year, and then booking them in for next year as well. She just never stops.
no,
Yeah,
no.
she just
No, she
I'm
doesn't.
absolutely
And
proud
she's
of her.
just a lovely, lovely girl as well.
Yeah.
She's just the nicest, kindest woman. She really is. And we all love working with her. And she's won countless kindness awards, of course,
Yeah.
from the foundation as well. So, Jay, if you're hearing this, we absolutely love you.
So how can we as individuals help Animals Asia?
Yes, please. I mean, the obvious stuff. We're all over Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and the social networks, and of course on our website as well. Please help us, because the key is to leave responsibility, and the quicker that we can raise the funds, the quicker that we can get this sanctuary built and those bears rescued into our care. So it really is as simple as that. We're coming up to Christmas. I don't know if anyone feels like asking for help for the bears in lieu of presents. People have done that in the past. There's just so many ways of just getting out there on sort of fundraising ideas, which our team can help you with. If you just pop onto the website or write us an email, we can all help you to raise funds for the bears. So please do consider the bears, especially coming up to Christmas now.
Yeah, I know on your website you can adopt bears, you can sponsor bears as well, can't you? I know VJ, I think she has a couple of bears she sponsors, and obviously you can buy merchandise. We talked about the t-shirts. We've got our little bear here. We've got
Oh,
she does a cookbook, she does aprons, we've got beanies. There's absolutely all sorts of things. But really, it is a case of getting cold hard cash to you as quickly as possible for you to get Bach Ma fully populated, isn't it?
it really is, Anna. There's a sense of urgency to this now. We're all feeling it, and it's quite daunting sometimes. But the fact is, as I say, those spades are going in the ground right now as we speak. So the quicker we can bring the funding in, the faster those spades can work.
Yeah. Well, we wish you every success. I mean, we absolutely think you're all amazing over there, and obviously all the groups around the world who are supporting you as well. And it's been an absolute privilege talking to you again this morning. So thank you very much. I'm going to sign off now and say this is Anna Amelia from Northeast Animal Rights saying please support Animals Asia. Look at the website, look at the socials, help them get Bach Ma fully populated as quickly as possible. And thank you very much to Jill Robinson for talking to us again today.
Bless you, Anna. Good luck with your amazing work, and thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you.